I just got done watching Scream 6, one of my most anticipated horror films for all of 2023, and might I say that this isn't just a perfect follow-up to the last movie, this is a perfect horror film. It's one of my favorites in the Scream franchise, and I'm very excited to be talking about it today in a non-spoiler fashion, so you are safe. I will not be spoiling the movie whatsoever, but do look forward to a Scream ranking later this week. That said, Scream 6 follows the survivors of the Ghostface killings in Scream 5, leaving Woodsboro behind and starting a fresh new chapter in New York City. This is once again directed by Matt Olpin and Tyler Gillette, which if you have never seen their YouTube channel, Chad, Matt, and Rob, absolutely go check it out. These guys have come from far, far away, and I love those old YouTube videos, and seeing what they're able to do now with Ready or Not, Scream 5, and Scream 6 is just such a joy. The film also, of course, stars the likes of Melissa Barrera, Courteney Cox, Jenna Ortega, Jasmin Savoy Brown, Mason Gooding, Hayden Panettiere, Segarra, Jack Champion, Samara Weaving, Dermot Mulroney, and so many more. This is probably one of the biggest casts that we've had for a Scream film ever. And with that said, when you have a big cast like this, you can pretty much expect a lot of killer and less filler. And that's exactly what this movie is. From the start, from the opening sequence, which you know what happens to most Scream opening sequences, it kicks off and just jumps on from there. What I really love is that this film really carries a torch from, of course, that original set of Scream films from Wes Craven, and then also from Scream 5. Kind of tying it all together and bringing it into one movie. But the one thing that this film does that is even better than Scream 5, because I thought Scream 5 was a perfect legacy sequel, but the one thing kind of on rewatch on that film is that I wish we got a little bit more with the new crew in here, the core four, as I might say, and so does the film. I wish we would have seen a little bit more of that in Scream 5. We'll go as far as say this core four people, Mason, Jasmine, Jenna, and Melissa, I like just as much as the original three. Might be sacrilegious for some of you guys who are hardcore Scream fans, but I genuinely mean that. But this is a movie review, so before I get any further into this, make sure to leave your thoughts down below. I love reading the comment section, seeing what your guys' thoughts and expectations are for Scream 6, as well as make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, because like I mentioned, I got a lot of Scream videos coming up, and just a lot of movie content. I try to post at least one new video a day, and I think if you like movies, this is definitely going to be the channel for you. And with every movie review, you know I love talking about the pros, so with that said, let's jump into this. You know I love it. You know I think this movie is perfect. I might have some nitpicks, so we'll get to those in a second, because every movie I could have nitpicks with. But seriously enough with this, I want to really emphasize and talk about Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega. Now, I really liked both of them in the first one. I thought they were both great standout stars, but I wanted a little bit more when it came down to the script and the meat and potatoes of them all. Some cool twists and turns with Melissa's character in Scream 5, and in this one, they really bring them up as that, you know, for some reason, we never get Neve Campbell in the future. Then you know what? I feel pretty good about that, because I feel like after this film, I'm so happy that we now have Melissa and Jenna Ortega, because both of them are absolutely stellar in here. I think the material they get in this film is even stronger. I love seeing the sisterly bond, and I love how it continues to grow throughout this movie and see what the events of Scream 5 truly did for their friendship, their relationship as sisters, and just much more. And I actually like how this film actually touches on the trauma of all those elements, and it isn't just another one of those, oh, we're gonna make fun of these legacy sequels and these requels that so many different film franchises are doing. It touches on conspiracy theory and certain things that are kind of going on in our entire world, not just focusing on movies, but it also focuses a lot on revenge itself. And that's one of the things that I truly was impressed with while watching this film, and exactly how revenge can kind of be spiteful to many different people. When you look at this and seeing how like Melissa and Jenna now feel that their lives have been taken away from them because of the events of Melissa's past that we found out in Scream 5, I love how they're able to double down on that. And I think when we look at the directors here and of course the writing in here, you can definitely feel all of it to be a little bit more fluid. And we're introduced back into the killings of Ghostface, they're able to jump just right into it. And I cannot. These two genuinely could be the face of the franchise going forward, and I was quite impressed with that. Same can be said about Jasmin Savoy Brown and Mason Gooding, who I really liked in the first movie, but I wanted more of them, and this time around they do the same thing again. This core four is your four main characters you get in here, and you do feel for them. You want to be on the edge of your seat. You want to be cheering for them to survive, and you definitely are gripping the edge of your seat during each and every one of the scenes. And I love how the trailer if you've never seen one of the trailers for this film, I mean, you're probably going to even have more fun than I did, but I like how the trailers left out so much different things to kind of make you piece together what's going on. And in general, they really make these and your mind kind of start to spin on who is Ghostface? What is this kind of Guess Who game? And that's one of the best things about the Scream films, is that it plays Guess Who with you. I think this is actually the strongest Ghostface that we've had yet. And I actually really like the Guess Who game, because it really does put so many different icons in your head, and you're like, well, it could be this person. Oh, it could be also this person. And the way that it kind of twists and turns that up until you finally get the reveal and you go, oh, shit. Love how this film franchise has been able to do that, and I love how Scream 6 was even less predictable than, of course, Scream 5. With the sixth film in a franchise, we obviously know that some legacy characters are coming back. That is in the likes of Courteney Cox and, of course, Hayden Panettiere. Now, I know many people were going to be wondering, but what about Neve Campbell? She's not in this movie. I don't even want to get anyone's hopes up. That's not even a spoiler, but they do address it. And I overall like how they addressed her character missing. It makes sense, it fits for the story, and honestly, I'm actually curious to see what they would have done if she was in here, because after watching the movie, I don't really think she had much to do in this film. Again, I understand that might be very much like, raise the pitchforks, go kill this guy.
Get your torches! Pitchforks! Can't be an angry mob without pitchforks!
Like Richie's motives were, but hear me out for a second. With a horror franchise like this, you do need to grow and actually expand certain other characters, not just the legacy characters. And I'm not just saying to bring them back to get them killed, because when you look at Dewey, I love what they were able to do with Scream 5, but at the same time of kind of going back to rewatch that, we've seen it all before. I'm happy how this film actually takes the twists and turns of a horror franchise, and even, of course, of the legacy sequel, and actually shifting it around to change your perspective and change your ideas of what could possibly happen in here, to the point where even though you might think one thing's gonna happen, drastically something different happens here. I'm not saying that this is like the Last Jedi of like legacy sequels, because it's not, but it is unique to still have that, and it's fresh in the end of the day. Within horror franchises like this that have had so many different avenues and so many different sequels, and just in general so many different things in the pop culture nature, you need that fresh feeling to it all. Again, I really love what they were able to do with Courteney Cox in here. I actually think her best sequence and best scene is actually in this movie. Among the likes, Hayden Panettiere is not wasted in here at all. I actually really love how they were able to bring her back in here, and every single moment she shows up, it's great. When she first appears, I actually got a little bit of goosebumps, because I'm like, yes, Kirby's back. The rest of the cast is pretty damn good. Devyn, Josh, Jack, Liliana, Tony, Samara Weaving, Dermot. I mean, again, like I mentioned, the whole cast can go on and on from there. I could literally sit here for like hours just talking about the praise for each and every one of the people in here. The one thing I actually do want to talk about is the true stars of this film, which is Matt and Tyler, the directors of this movie. And I think easily they did Scream 5, and they could have followed back into that a little bit, maybe brought back a little bit more, maybe wrote the legacy characters in a little bit tighter, but they did something a little bit different here, because this is, I would argue, probably the grittiest, darkest, meanest Scream film that we've gotten yet, and easily one of the bloodiest. Some of the kills in here are woof. I honestly, each and every one of them, I just kept falling more and more in love with this film as the film went on and progressed, but it could have been easy to kind of just lean into more of that. But somehow they struck a balance that was that same tone, but also had this wit to it as well, which is something that every single Scream movie has to have. And this is such a great crowd-pleasing film. To say the least, I went and saw this at a press screening. There was no general going audience. Every single person there was either a fan of film that reviews it for a living or a hobby. And to actually see press members audibly react, audibly cheer, and audibly be excited for a movie is very rare. I think the only few times I've actually seen this at a press screening was along the likes of Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man No Way Home, the big blockbusters like that. But when it comes down to horror movies like this, I've never seen this happen in a horror film before. Not even Scream 5. It just goes as far as saying again, how these directors truly understand this franchise and everything going along the likes, and making your mind twist and turn with that Guess Who game, the kills, the characters, and again, making characters that you are going to want to cheer for. Because when you have a horror film, you need that in here. I don't just, again, think that this is a perfect follow-up to the last Scream film. I think it is a perfect film and easily one of the best horror sequels in a while. And I think it solidifies, again, that Scream is one of the most consistent horror franchises that we have ever gotten. At the time this movie ended, I just sat there going, I need more of this. I walked out buzzing about this film, wanting to drastically go right back into it because of how much fun I had with it. The goal of going to the movies is to have fun and experience something with a crowd of people that you don't know and just absolutely smile, laugh, and have a blast of a time. Like I mentioned, there are some nitpicks in here, and honestly, it's just one nitpick I have. Like, I think this movie's perfect. Like, I am in love with this film. But there's going to be some things that I think bother a little bit of people, and that is suspending your disbelief. There are certain things in the Scream franchise where you genuinely just have to suspend your disbelief. Whether it was the person who actually killed Dewey in the last film. Spoilers if you haven't seen Scream 5. If you haven't seen Scream 5 yet, I don't know why you're watching this review. That I had to definitely suspend my disbelief on. And there's always been certain instances in the Scream franchise where you definitely have to do that. This film sometimes goes above and beyond on that element. Specifically, one part of the story that, again, would be spoilers for me to go into, but once the reveal happens and you know who Ghostface is, you kind of just sit there going, but what about point A, point B, point C, point D? And that, I started thinking about that right away, but then I was having fun, so I kind of just forgot about it until I got home and I was like, but yeah, point A, point B, point C, point D, how does that make sense? Last thing I want to say is that, the reveal is going to be different for everyone. Some people will absolutely love the reveal, some won't. I loved it, but I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section if you loved it. Cloud9, Scream 6 is the perfect follow-up, an all-out bloodfest filled with some of my favorite kills for the entire franchise, and still a great game of Guess Who. Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega are truly the faces of the franchise now, solidifying themselves as the perfect new leads within this film, and I am in love and obsessed with them. I literally love the core four in here that we get within Jasmin and Mason as well, and they're great. I invested just as I was with the original three, and you instantly are, probably within the first 20 minutes, to where you are really much worrying and not knowing who's going to live and die, whether it's between the core four or a lot of the other new characters that we get to mention in here, which all have very interesting pieces to them all, and I like them all. It is the directors here who are the star, and I think they just understand exactly what Wes Craven was trying to go for in this film. I cannot wait to see your guys' thoughts on this one. So with all that said, I'm going to give Scream 6 an A+. I loved this movie, and I think this actually might be my first A+ for the year. If not, I think maybe I did one other film, but this is such a great way to kick off March. I love this movie, and I can't wait to get your guys' thoughts again. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and look forward to my Scream rankings that I have coming up. And of course, until next time, stay classy. Oh, what are you doing back there?